GSL Code S. That was a great series we just casted. They went 1-1, and then Hero tried to do the Phoenix Adept style. Beyond really just did the proper Virtue Nerd build of I'm going to tech up, I'm going to get all the upgrades. And eventually, Hero stood no chance.
That's right. He really learned a lot over the course of that series, and I think it was very evident that those are two very evenly matched players. But
yeah,
now we get a chance to watch the #1 man. It's sOs, a guy that has been to the highest heights, but also right now is looking a little bit shaky. But as always with sOs, you can never count him out. Anything can happen.
Let's not forget, sOs faced off against Beyond in the finals of last year's GSL Code S, the last one that we had last year. He's never won a GSL Code S. This tournament is incredibly important to him.
Absolutely.
He needs to come out on top here.
I mean, he's won not one, but 2 world championships. Like, this guy has excelled in international competition, but when it comes to winning this, kind of the pinnacle of the most competitive StarCraft 2 league in the world, like, you really have to be that 100% player. And, going up against Bunny here. Now, if Bunny advances to face off against the Terran, you can see by the percentages there, he's going to struggle. But versus Protoss, he's actually been doing pretty well lately, and in fact has a 60% chance to win this game against sOs.
Bunny is the underdog of this group for sure, but he's been looking very good. So you can't always take everybody else's results and pit them against just how Bunny's been actually looking. That's something that I'm certainly guilty of. I'm just a guy who takes previous results. I'm kind of boring when I make predictions, but for me, although one thing I will say, if you notice, look at any game I've ever done with predictions, if sOs is in it, I always predict him.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair for how long I've been casting this guy and seeing him always pull out crazy stuff. So let's see if sOs can do it here against Bunny. A lot's on the line. The winner goes on to face off against Beyond. The loser against Hero.
GSL Season 3.
You want to win this. You want to have the opportunity to lose twice in this group. Let's go. Probe already out on the map.
Dun, dun.
Bottom right, in the blue. He is.
Jin Green Wings, SOS.
He was actually supply block there for just a second. He's going to look to put down that pylon across the map, most likely. His opponent in the red. He is.
Bunny.
Or is he just going to be annoying with that? That was a super early probe, but I guess he knows the timing on that. Like I said, Bunny a little bit of an underdog. sOs got out first in his group by beating TY. So anybody that can beat a Terran player of that caliber, and he did it very uniquely. A proxy robo, overcharged pylons, lots of craziness. So I'm expecting to see that here versus Bunny.
So the probe is still running around in here. Sometimes you want to check and see are they doing anything super wild at the start. You do lose a little bit of mining, though, when you send a worker out that fast.
SCV.
No, is he going to get this? We don't know what the HP is on that other SCV.
I think he's got like 10 HP left. He's going to go back for it, but okay, it's going to be the scouting. You have to do all this just for one probe. So, very annoying. Shields have come back. He's trying to cancel the regen there.
Still looking for that CC. He knows that Terran will have 400 minerals just at this point in time.
Yeah.
And, it's okay. Whoa, he actually got it. How did that happen?
AOSS, my friend is shy, but he really likes you. Please win, or he will be sad. Frowny face.
Well, now the pressure's really on.
It really
here.
is.
Now.
He had nothing to play for before.
That's right. Now he is.
That's the fan he has to show good games for.
That's right. Yeah, or that fan will be sad. He'll have to apologize.
Can't have sad fans, man.
No, man. So we have the Zealot coming out here first.
Oh, it's Foreigner in the audience. Thanks for coming
down, man. Zealot on the way here. Here comes that Reaper. Now, things are a little bit slower overall for Protoss just because, that probe was sent out here. But the Mothership should come out here just in time. Now, he did bounce that one probe away. That was actually really nicely placed with the mines. Since the Reaper can regen, it's okay if he takes some damage and then just escapes out of there.
Now, we're going to see proxy tech here most likely.
I don't know, man. He's
baiting the observer right now.
Isn't that just the probe that was driven out by the natural, right? He might just be hiding that out on the map.
Okay.
For later on. I don't believe that probe was killed.
No. So
I'm wrong. Sorry, guys. But
it could come back into play later on. Nothing to read into that. Our observer got you baited. So, for the meantime, it's just the Stargate in the main. I feel like we saw a game very similar to this from Hero at the end of our last series, so this should look much the same. Although Bunny is a much different style of Terran than Beyond is. He's big into these Stim Marine timings, although that's mostly versus Zerg. So, interesting to see how he wants to play this. One style he's been doing a lot more lately is Marine Widowmine. Not actually going into anything like tanks or liberators, just kind of trying to make that work.
So that probe also might be sent out later on to make proxy pylons in case SOS does want to do some kind of timing. The Reaper's whole role here is to keep moving around the map and trying to find something like that probe hidden somewhere out on the map. And we have some Phoenixes coming up here with a Robo. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have Phoenix Adept here. But, getting one Phoenix sometimes early on, there's a lot of utility. But he's not stopping with these Phoenixes.
No, he's going to keep going. It's going to be interesting. Oh, wow, he's going to keep him from scouting. Oh, did he see that Robo?
I want to point out he's banking the Phoenixes. There was never an Oracle made, unless I'm missing something. So this is a little bit of a hidden style.
Yeah, and the Robo is totally unscouted at this point, and there's a Bay on the way.
This is cool. Okay. Let's see where this game is going to end up eventually. I do feel like the hidden Phoenixes right now are probably the biggest factor that could throw Terran off.
Yeah. Now here comes double Widowmine drop. He's just going to go for one. Ooh.
Wow. Okay. Very, very nicely done. We have Terran almost feeding the... okay, he's going to go ahead and show the two Phoenixes now, probably realizing, okay, even if he tries to drop out one of the Widowmines here, he can just pick it up. And we're going to see that here.
Barely taken out, the lift on the mine.
Now, if he does this right, I think I'm sorry, did he get the medevac?
Yeah, he did.
He did, okay. For some reason, I thought for a second that got away. So that was handled really well. 2 Widow Mines killed for basically free. The medevac's now been destroyed. The Reaper was out of the game. And Bunny has just a little bit less than what he wanted. And we're having the Colossus tech come into play here. Now, the Phoenixes might have caught Bunny off guard. The Colossus might really catch him off guard.
Bunny?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, lately he's looked super, super good, specifically in this matchup. I think he's finally started to figure this out. He got out first in his group in SSL. He's just like really, really good after being not that great last season. And specifically versus Protoss, I think he's like has a 60% win rate this summer offline in Korea. So he's just really killing it. And so I think he knows not only about this style, but about that Phoenix Adept style that we've seen. And it looks this is going to be a different variety. No Adept's going to be ranged Colossus on the way.
Right, yeah.
And we haven't seen this today, so I'm really curious how this is going to work out. I feel like the later the game gets, the lower SOS's chance of surprising his opponent.
Well, I mean, it depends on when the Colossi are spotted. And you also have to keep in mind, if you get a few Colossi here, and they were building up this basic infantry army, the splash is really scary, right? The splash is what's going to kill everything. Bunny's definitely one of these Terrans, and it's not necessarily bad if you can get away with it, but he's one of these Terrans that likes to go in drop by drop by drop. We might see Liberators sent in a little bit later on. He's definitely doing what you were saying, Rapid. Okay, he sees the first Colossus, so that gives away a lot of the bigger plans. He's definitely going to that Widowmine style you were saying he really likes to do. Of course, there are Phoenixes here.
Oh, Mothership Core just waiting to catch that out.
Okay, he's so good. He's so good at this SOSs.
Yeah, this is almost like stopping siege tank pushes, where you just have to get on the out on the map and just little by little slow it down, so you know what's coming. You have just enough time to deal with it.
Yeah, well, if you take out some of those Phoenixes, first of all, the Widow Mines are not great against Colossus, right?
Right.
You just stay back. I almost feel like Bunny might be pushing somewhat into a trap here. I mean, he's almost acting like this is Phoenix Adept when it's not.
Now, if you're playing against a Terran like Maru, then he's going to pick up and drop on your Colossus and just be like, whoa. But now, the Widow Mines are going to stop the Phoenix from getting up there, but...
oh, my God.
Bunny has nothing to deal with these Colossi.
Yeah, I feel like once Terran saw this, he should have just ran. I mean, all you have to do is stay back with the Colossi. That's why the army comp for Protoss looks different. There's a sentry there. I think, there's some zealots underneath that as well. Is that this is sort of like you trying to attack into siege tanks. When you have Widowmine and Marine Marauder, now you might try to pick up and outposition them, but hey, they got Phoenixes as well, right? They can pick up your small army, and they can probably gun down your medevacs. And I'm a little bit worried here for Bunny, the fact that he's still trying to get in and do damage with these small drops. I mean,
he's going to try to make the Widow Mines work by continuing these jobs. It's just never going to happen.
Well, let's see if one does connect on the workers. It depends on how ready he is.
Oh, he baited out 2 overcharges. That's pretty good. That shouldn't be able to kill the gas probes, but one will be sacked for it. Second one's going to get dropped off in the main, but it's just going to get lifted instantly.
So see, this is what I was talking about, right? This isn't going to get away. That Widow Mine's going to eventually be picked off there inside the main. What?
No, sorry. That
if he lets it get away, it will. I think he should.
Yeah, he's going to chase it down eventually.
Yeah, okay. That was a little bit weird to see.
So it might have looked weird for Bunny to extend that far out of the map and then just not be able to do anything, but you have to keep in mind, I don't think that the Colossi had been revealed, so he doesn't know that there's this counter unit there. Still able to get out there.
Yeah, he's going to come out here now. And with the 4 Colossi out here, he definitely cannot engage this. I mean, SOS has the opportunity to grow out a lot more. Phoenix count, by the way, is not slowed down. It's actually coming out 2 at a time, so there's 2 Stargates on the map. And this is a kind of a cool, slower variant of Phoenix openings we've seen. Instead of trying to leverage the early game here with Adepts and Phoenixes, which pair very well together. He's got Phoenixes to deny drops, Colossi to stop pushes. But let's see. I mean, with this many Liberators coming, this can be a problem in of itself, right? The Phoenixes aren't going to kill Liberators that fast. Terran can get a little bit explosive here on the map.
Great job with the Phoenixes, able to get in there and pick off a couple of the Liberators, but there's still a lot out there on the ground and in the air for Bunny.
Okay, he's trying to come forward now. He does take out 1. All those Phoenixes now without shields. Got to be very careful. 1 or 2 more Widow Mine hits, and that entire air army is gone. So notice he stopped making medevacs entirely. He's only getting Liberators. Phoenixes do not kill Liberators that fast, and therefore this expansion is denied.
Might lose the Observer there as well. Whoa, just barely pulled out. Now, the Disruptors are out. We'll see how well they enable SOS to hang on here, but does need to get that 4th base up if he still wants to. Now, there's Phoenix range about to complete, so those Annie and Pulse Crystals will come to bear, and that might be exactly what SOS needs to push this back.
He, right now, Bunny does have enough. Oh, very good. Very nicely done. The range is a big factor here. Now, the Disruptor could come in here and help try to push with this. It's kind of an odd position where some units can counter others. I think there's no Liberator there, so I'm sorry, no Widow Mine there is what I meant to say. Just over there at the bottom part of that army. So he's beginning to disarm this. Terran, by the way, about to be maxed out. So even though I think SOS has this cool unit comp, it could possibly not be enough.
Great control by SOS. His micro is really commendable. He's able to push the Liberators back with the ranged Phoenix, and if Marines come forward to try to deal with the Phoenix, he kills them with the range on the Colossi.
I almost feel like the play here for the Disruptors to try to hit the Widow Mine, because everything just sort of falls apart.
He's going to go forward.
Oh my God, he's got to be careful.
Man, still takes a big hit. Look at that, none of them have shields.
Got to get that Observer up there. I don't know why he's doing this.
He's going to run into another one.
Oh, the Observer was right there. That's so weird. Okay, so he will pick that off. Protoss is going to try to expand again. Terran, by the way, is expanding on his own here. This is a pretty cool mirror match, or not a mirror matchup. It's looking like a mirror matchup. They're both expanding at kind of the same rates.
Right.
Mirror expansions, I should say, for the time being. He has switched now into Tempest. We actually have 3 Stargates here, just 1 Phoenix and 2 Tempests being made.
+1 air upgrades already done, +2 almost about to complete. This is going to be a very strong kind of sky toss army, but it's very expensive. It takes a long time to get there, so we'll have to see if SOS can make it.
You also have to keep in mind the lack of mobility when you have Colossi and Tempest together. Sometimes the game plan for Terran is just hit where the Protoss is not. Now, there are Phoenixes before somebody jumps all over me on that. Yes, the Phoenixes are a threat. But if you push in with the ground army and the medevacs over that, the Phoenixes can't fight it as fast.
Right. I love how active SOS is being with these Phoenixes. Phoenix.
Right.
I don't know what the correct pluralization out there.
Phoenicians.
The Phoenicians are winning this game. This is Age of Empires 2, so they're actually Phoenicians. I think they were in that. Maybe that was number 1. I don't know, but great.
I thought they were in all the Age of Empires. Actually, I don't think I played Age of Empires 1. Okay, we have the Liberators coming here now. All Terran has to do is wipe out the base. You don't have to win the game here at all. Now there's Tempest here, but they don't do damage that fast. That's one of the problems. We don't see the Disruptor with this army yet. If it is, it's off camera. And, there's almost nothing in between the Nexus and that Terran army. But Bunny seems to be leaning onto the side of caution here. I don't know if that was the stream or that was the game there, but that was kind of odd.
It's a wrinkle in time.
Oh my God. Carriers now coming out here for Protoss. I'm liking this kind of cool tech up here. You know, some of the factors to keep in mind is that it is a lot of Liberators here. They're not exactly great against Carriers. And dude, this is an awesome attack here. Look at this. The entire game, which was built up to making those Liberators, is now gone. In fact, this may be an ample moment to try to attack in here. Got to be careful, though.
Yeah, big Widow Mine hit. He's going to go in here and try to really kill most of those Vikings, and he gets most of them. There's only like 3 or 4 left.
That was a really good play there. The tech, though, is not finished here for SOS. He's now going to get Sonic Storm. Kind of a funny game. In a lot of Terran vs. Protoss is we see the Protoss staying on Adept Phoenix, and it's the Terran trying to tech out of that. This time it's actually the Protoss getting into super advanced air tech while doing harass with these Phoenixes.
And he knows the Viking count is very, very low, so as long as he can avoid the Marines on the ground, most of these Phoenix will survive. It's a lot of damage done.
You know, it's really, you're right, it's just the Marines that threaten the Phoenixes. It's not anything else. I mean, of course, Vikings can shoot at the Phoenixes, the Liberators can shoot at the Phoenixes, but with range this many, they can really come in there and do some damage. In fact, I believe we may see Protoss push after that 5th Nexus is operational, because he might be in a position where he can actually start to do more damage.
Now, SOS just totally reset the Viking count. So not only does that mean that there's no anti-air versus the Phoenix, but the real threat is now going to be Carriers and the Tempest that are already out. SOS is about
let's not forget the Colossus, right?
Oh, definitely.
That's going to be the big splash damage that actually wipes everything out. Now the drop, this is a gamble. Of course, if Phoenixes catch this, okay, he's going to back off, right?
Oh, I think there's too many Marauders.
You know, that was so sick. He just picks his fights. I haven't cast the game in a while where we've seen Phoenix range emphasized so well.
Sandwiched. There's not a lot of Marines on the ground, especially when they're so effective against this massive Phoenix force. 16 Phoenixes. Man. Oh, that's units lost. So.
Oh man, we're both dumb. I'm like 16. It's like right on the units lost tab right in front of our faces. Sorry guys. No, but in all seriousness, these Phoenixes, even though he's lost 16, they've way outpaid for themselves. This also frees up supply for more Carriers.
I feel like Bunny is not diversifying. He's just saying, okay, well, I've totally had my Viking count reset. I'm just going to keep making Vikings. There'll never be enough, but I'm just going to keep going for it. I'm just going to keep building just only this, whereas SOS is just like, okay, well, I know what the best army composition is. I'm just going for it, and if you don't try to fight me, I'm going to get there.
You know what's cool? He's getting glaives now. He could switch into Adepts later on if he wants to.
SOS.
He's a pretty smart player. Now, the Carriers. Actually, I'm not clear. What is the carrier number? What is it at 8 or 9 or something like that?
It's very high. It's 2 more on the way.
Yeah, it's high enough.
Plus 3 air weapons too.
Yeah, that this is going to end in possibly a very funny way. Now, even though the tech we've been very excited about throughout this game, let's not forget the Bunny is even on bases here. I mean, this is all pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Consistently sniping off these Vikings. I love it. Even if he has to sacrifice over time the Phoenix count, that's going to free up supply for more valuable units behind it. And with less Vikings, the more valuable units are even more valuable because there's not the counter unit out there. Look at this. He's like Scourge killing off Corsairs. Just right on top of them as they spawn. No Vikings allowed. Oh, I feel like this is where he loses it.
You know what, though, dude? You know what, guys in the stream? He's freeing up more supply. I don't think he needs the Phoenixes anymore.
Now, there are a lot of Vikings out. There are 3 reactor starports that are massive Viking producers right now. Getting 4 out at a time. He will have a high count there, but like you said, almost said Artosis. Well, you are Artosis on the overlay.
I was on the overlay earlier.
But the glaives could be really powerful here.
And, you know, with the Archons coming in here, I think we have to see how, what gets to interact with what here. I don't want to call this right away because this is kind of a cool unit comp we have here.
Yeah.
Did Bunny adjust properly? Is this enough Vikings to combat the air in time? I'm not sure. These are very highly upgraded carriers here.
Absolutely. Now, there's a lot of Vikings in the air. Is there enough? It looks like just barely. Storm's actually dealing a lot of damage to the interceptors, and they're starting to thin out, splitting up, coming around the sides. Looks like SOS might just be able to hold.
Well, does he actually have enough interceptors here? You know, he killed all the medevacs, but are there just too many Marines? Some of the problems the Marines might have is they have to be in the right angle. By the way, every time they stim, they're low on HP. In fact, I think he should probably just turn around and fight this.
A little bit of a miss there.
Maybe he doesn't have enough carriers or interceptors, excuse me.
So he's going to be rebuilding interceptors and carriers at the same time. It looks like he just wants to go for mass carrier. And like you said, very high upgrades. He's going to get +2 shields, +1 air armor behind this as well. But that was actually a much more even fight than I expected. The big victory, though, is that Bunny eliminated all of the ground army underneath the carriers.
I was a little bit curious about that because, when we saw carriers come up here, I feel like Stim Marines can take on those carriers.
I don't know.
And even with the no medevacs there and just stimming and bleeding off health, they did. But of course, the interceptors go back. You can just remake them. Rinse and repeat, right? I mean, we don't see medevacs really here with this army. Not enough.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned no medevacs because Bunny accidentally stimmed his entire army. He had his entire army, or like all the bio on one hotkey, and he accidentally hit T to stim them. Now, ideally, you could say, well,
you mean just a few seconds ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually did not catch that.
Yeah. So his entire army is very weak, and there's no medevacs to heal it.
See, even the Zealots can sort of fight this.
Oh, every single. Yeah, he's going to die there. Wow. Okay, barely saves it. But you get the idea. His entire force is very weak, and there's only 5 medevacs in the game, many that have just been produced with low energy.
This is such a funny-looking game that we have here. So there's 9 carriers. There are also 6 Templars. I believe the Disruptors, the Disruptor Balls, and the Templar Psionic Storms are intended to wipe out the Marines, and then the carriers sort of snowball the fight.
Where's the mothership here? That's like the big thing.
I'm glad you brought that up, Rap, but I was going to say the same thing. As you would assume if this was happening, you might as well get a mothership just because it's not going to hurt this army.
Yeah, it forces scan
Does he just
energy,
keep that back there for cannons in case the Terran tries to drop? I mean, I guess the Phoenixes are gone, right? So maybe drops are really more of a threat than they were before.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big uses is to recall your army once you find yourself in a rough spot. But the ground army underneath is maybe a little bit light for SOS, but these air upgrades are insanity. I think he's almost at 333 for his air units.
Problem is that Terran is always going to be upgrading infantry, right?
Yeah.
So 33 is exciting, but I mean, let's not forget it's not like the Terran isn't as equipped as they could be infantry-wise as far as upgrades go with what they're going to need. Also important to note is that this is an army that basically has to stick together. It's not fast, right? In fact, to be candid, it's actually quite slow. I mean, the Archons, the Disruptors, the Carriers all together, Tempest especially.
There you go again, Chase, speed shaming the army.
Speed shaming, has some speed shaming this army hard. It seems like, let's say that Protoss pushes out, couldn't Terran just run around and counterattack and do a lot of damage?
Exactly. I think I touched on this earlier. Abyssal Reef doesn't get split a lot because both side bases are too hard to control. And if you look at what Bunny's doing, he's going to cancel bases on one side and still have another force going in to try to get damage done up top.
Okay, he's coming down here now. This is what I was talking about. Like, even though the carrier armies could kill this, right? It has to be there to kill it, and it's a long, slow, kind of clunky army. Now, the damage that's done here, that's not that much of a big deal, but conceptually, this is actually going to probably be a bigger looming threat in this game.
SOS will have 500 carriers eventually. He's continuing to produce them. Carriers are just really great units. Now, one thing this game will test is who is the smarter player, because not only does the positional intelligence matter, but you have to know going into a game, if you're going to play it late, what the best late game composition is going to be. So I think SOS just commits to carriers. He's got Archons underneath, some High Templar floating around there, and the Disruptors. So I guess we'll find out.
It's funny because the cannon placement here, the massive amount of cannons, it makes it look like it's a Brood War game. Because that's in a Brood War game, you get a ton of cannons there. You don't normally get that many, but in this case, because of the unit composition of carriers, you sort of have to, because Terran can start to try to hit everywhere else.
They're free units. You just get to sit them everywhere. They don't take up supply.
Now, it is a lot of the minerals that you mine in these expansions. A lot of that does just go to the cannons to keep the expansions there. I almost feel as if maybe SOS wants this game to go on for a long time and just poke into stray expansions with the carriers.
Ideally, as a Protoss, I guess you'd want to play it at that speed. Now, I think Bunny's going to be a little too vigilant trying to hit these side bases, but he's all grouped up, all clumped up right there in the middle of the map right now. Neither player really revealing how they want to go about winning this game, but certainly SOS, taking the inevitability on his side.
Well, Terran seems to be looking for an opening, and SOS is just ready to absorb various attacks. I mean, look at the minerals and gas that have been saved up right now for SOS, and that number's not slowing down. just a minimal amount of supply that's free here for SOS to send Zealots in there. Whenever this is picked off, he seems to make a few more Zealots. Now he's going to make Dark Templars.
3-3 done for Bio on the ground just to get an upgrade count. +3 air armor about to complete, but nice EMP on the Archons, but not going to commit to it.
He's backing up now. I do wonder if Protoss decides to attack, what's the angle? I suppose you want to go for the newest base, but with Protoss really focusing more attention here on the bottom, Terran's going to be itching to try to attack in there, so maybe you try to attack in through the bottom and do a arc over here towards the right. The problem is the bottom, by Terran's bottom is what I'm saying here for where Protoss attacks. Not a ton of equity, like this base is almost mined out. The base above that to the left is emptied, but I guess in the bigger picture of things, it sounds weird to say, but you might as well destroy this stuff here. If you have to destroy the buildings, make them give up position. Army can't quite circulate through here. There's just enough carriers you can't repair this, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right?
No, well, you also kill the SCVs.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I think you can just right-click on that. It doesn't even matter. So Terran, all right, so this is what I was wondering earlier, right?
But it's going to go for it. That entire base is mined out, though, so.
Well, they're both hitting each other, not at, weak spots as far as, like, if I lose that, it's over. But I think they're trying to poke at each other.
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Bunny probably realized there's not a lot of minerals there. Killing that base doesn't really matter. So better to pull back, make sure he's safe back at home.
Well, this is something I don't normally talk about because it's not normally a factor in a StarCraft 2 game like this. But sometimes just getting rid of anything helps because it gets rid of their vision there.
Okay.
And I think that's sort of what we're seeing here. The question, though, I'm wondering is how does a fight go? Because it can sort of go either way depending on what units hit what.
Oh, okay. Nice
Great job.
SOS really getting out there with the micro. I think he has enough energy for one more feedback, or maybe he just wanted to free up supply.
Yeah, he might actually. It sounds weird to say.
Oh, wow.
But oh, my God.
The little DT that could.
Look at this one DT. Hold on. Well, that actually is kind of big. Terran, actually, if we kind of zoom out of this game overall, Terran doesn't really have a healthy mining base.
No.
That one's lifted.
Yeah.
This one's almost mined out. You know what? I think actually SOS wins this. There were so many factors in unit compositions, but I guess when you really break it down, yeah. And also the fact that SOS has gotten to a position where it's almost, 6.5K saved up, almost 3K gas. Yeah, all he has to do is survive. And you know what? He's got storms. I believe there are still disruptors in this game.
There are.
Lots of cannons.
Yeah, there's way more minerals or resources left on Bunny's side of the map. He just can't get access to them because he can't hold the base for long enough. Now, I think finally that's going to trigger him to go, and here we go!
All right, there's so many Vikings, but of course, the ground army for Protoss is still viable.
Oh, huge storms.
Wow, look at those Archons coming here. That's going to be game.
That's Viking falling.
GG. Whoa, SOS is an advanced alien. He's coming here to take over planet Earth.
And that's just game number 1, Tasteless. Oh my God. I actually think maybe SOS wanted to draw that game out because now Bunny has just played this insanely long game that ended in his defeat.
That's not the game on Abyssal Reef I'm used to casting, and that's why I always say SOS is probably going to win in any series I cast. So what he did was he went for the super late unit comp. It didn't look like it had the opportunity to kill the Terran, but the Terran didn't have the opportunity really to do that much either. And as the game went on, look, the carriers couldn't kill the Terran entirely, but also the Terran attacks in, and even if you lose a good amount of that, there's so many minerals and gas that are saved up. You can remake anything. And I'll tell you what, that's not the game that Bunny wanted to come in here and play. But that's how SOS wins. Is he's setting the game up. You have to play by his rules.
He really is one of the smartest players out there, just players in general. I think when I was casting the earlier series with Artosis, it was the last round of the last game of the round of 32. We had SOS, and he was ultimately able to advance from that group. But one thing that Dan said was that there are 2 players that every Korean fears playing. Obviously, Innovation, just insanely solid on just about every level. But the other one's SOS.
Yeah, it really is 2 polar opposites there. You have one guy who's mechanically perfect, and it doesn't seem like he has any weaknesses. There's another player, SOS, who we see here on camera, and he plays the game like nobody's ever played it before. He's always approached it from a different angle, almost from a more advanced angle. And no matter how hard you practice, you don't get to practice for what SOS is going to do.
Absolutely, you never know. And like I said, that's just game number 1. Game 2 is going to be on Ascension to Ire. Now that Bunny is back, he probably does not want to take it late again against SOS, so maybe it's his turn to try an early aggressive build.
You never know what SOS is going to do. Ascension to IR is going to be a fun map for these two guys to fight on. We will go on to Mech Depot, where Artosis was born, for map number 3, if we do get to that point.
There's a little Artosis house, the little Artosis family. You'll notice that on Mech Depot, there's no meat naturally on the map.
Yeah, no. You do not have meat on Mech Depot, where Artosis comes from. The granite unit composition map in the game.
Fight!
Here we go. Game number 2, SOS
GSL
versus Bunny.
Season 3, Code S.
In the bottom right, in the blue, our Protoss player, he is
Jin Green Wings, SOS.
What if SOS just meant sauce?
It's like, I just really love spaghetti, guys.
Yeah. In the upper left, he has to turn the series around. He is
Bunny.
Here we go. The map is Ascension to Ire. A lot of people think that this is named after the Protoss homeworld. Little do they know it's actually named after the most well-orchestrated Brood War tournament made by Artosis. Ascension.
Oh my God, it's totally not. It is totally not named after that. Oh my gosh.
It could have been.
Yeah.
But no, IR, maybe that gives
God, I
SOS.
forgot. He did that tournament a long time ago, Ascension.
I was taking you back there.
I thought my mind was going to be exploded. I was like, whoa! Then I'm like, oh, and Artosis, nah.
This is the incubator joke where it's actually just going to reach full potency when Dan goes back and watches the VODs.
I know.
For everybody else here, this is StarCraft 2, so that has a lot less relevance. And it being game number 2 does have a lot to say about this. Bunny may be a little bit overtaxed after playing such a long series, and certainly is having some issues. Hello, O Gaming.
O Gaming.
Big fan.
More
Oh, there's a TK.
Bonjour, O Gaming.
Well played.
See, yeah.
Is that French, Tasteless?
That is, yeah.
What did you say?
Quite the international man. I just said, well, it's hello in French.
Are you Mr. Worldwide?
Definitely.
Wow.
We love those guys at O Gaming.
I love all your albums.
Thank you.
There's a TKL shout out down there. Big fan of all those guys. Pretty good at playing in caster tournaments, but not the best.
Not the best. None of the tournaments where you got to cast, though, either, man.
Oh.
The casters are over here, man.
There you go.
Shots fired. Well, we don't really know what SOS is going to do just yet. Will he do that carrier thing again? Probably not. I don't think so.
Is he going to proxy? That's a proxy spot if you want to go for it, but maybe he's scouting out, looking for possible Terran proxies. Although that's not
no, I think that's what he's doing. I think he's looking for a starport.
He's a little bit early, I feel like. Maybe he's right on time, yeah. So he's going to know that he's safe, no proxies right there.
Because we saw that the Terran's making 2 more barracks, but had the Terran made a factory, then we should be seeing the starport somewhere right around there. Some of those players actually hide the factory and the starport, or starports. I guess sometimes they swap starport, Stargate. Starport on the map, and then they try to drop Widow Mines over there or do something else sneaky. But it's not going to be that this time around, because it was 2 more barracks after the already initial barracks made for Bunny. He's going to go and maybe even try to push out a little bit here later on. Protoss is also getting 2 more gates and a robo here, so these are pretty middle-of-the-road builds.
Right. I would love if SOS just goes for an observer here instead of trying to build up into some aggressive timing. I feel like he knows that probably if this game goes late too, he's kind of got Bunny's number.
Well, that's one of the things about when you have 2 really good players, but there's still a skill gap between them, is when you are able to just draw a game out super long and then completely dominate with like a better unit comp, almost exhibiting that you just understand the depth of this game much better. Oh, okay, he spots it. Nicely done.
I love these single scouting Marines. If you guys want to maybe take something away from this series that you can add to your own play, 1 single Marine scouting around the map just kind of consistently. It's great to practice because it gets your APM and your awareness up, and it's so much value.
Oh, he's just going to get stalkers here.
Oh.
Wait, do we have a Citadel back at home?
I don't think so, no. Yeah, he's going to get the robotics bay behind this, and it is an observer first.
But he's getting the support, robotics support bay here. This is kind of interesting here. So this is kind of funny that he's doing this.
I love trying to like extend behind the bunker right before it finishes and they load up. Just to get those extra little kills. I'm guessing this is Colossi behind this, by the way.
I believe that you are correct. He's getting a forge here. This actually doesn't look like it's much of anything that aggressive. He just had that pylon put out there, put a little bit of pressure on. You can sort of make it look like you might be doing some kind of like crazy stalker all-in, which would be horrible on this map, but especially considering what Terran's doing with 3 barracks, this would never work. But it can keep Terran on the back foot a little bit. Combat shield is almost done. These stalkers are basically ready to evacuate at any point in time. And then, of course, if Terran tries to push out, there's going to be enough Colossi as long as everything's positioned correctly.
Okay, so he's going to look to get up there.
Well, he's not going to go for it. He's not going to try to blink up there or anything like that.
He's trying to pick off supply depots on the high ground.
Or make it look like he's doing some kind of, like what Hero's done before with a lot of stalkers, pressure like that.
Oh, really on top of things, though. Bunny is able to snipe off another observer. He's been really vigilant with that this series, able to eliminate quite a few.
Well, we're really at a point in the meta where Terrans basically always know when the observers are coming in and shooting them down.
They look down at their clock. Look at the time.
Yeah.
It's observer o'clock.
And they take that out pretty easily.
Yeah.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to shoot down a few more observers here.
Got to keep producing Funkas, man.
Yeah. Gates. Just, I mean, I don't think Terran can actually attack in, right? Unless he outpositions his opponent with, like, drops. Yeah, I mean, he should be able to hold this off. Sometimes the Terran can try to stim and jump on top of the Colossus, but that's really just a matter of you trying to position your army, the Protoss, and in this case we see what exactly that is happening, right? The Terran didn't come out on top there. Terran actually lost a lot more units than he would want it to have. Now, Bunny seems to want to commit. He's got more units coming out. Now remember, there were a lot of observers on the map. Bunny should know that, but this is an easy game for Protoss right now, because you can monitor where the army's moving. The medevacs haven't merged up with the infantry army yet, at least for what we've seen. I believe these are the first 2 coming out here, if I'm not mistaken.
And Bunny is turning around right now, so...
Yeah, well, that was a wise call by him. I thought Bunny might try to commit here, and I don't see that working out for him.
Colossi, he probably knows range is about to finish, too. That it definitely would not have worked out. So he does take the decision to pull back. He's not going all the way back home, so he still has presence in the middle of the map at the watchtowers, but... Both players getting their third bases up, and I mean, this game could definitely go late.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right, Rapid. Bunny may be debating trying to pick up with 2 different sets of medevacs and hitting from 2 different sides. You can sometimes do that and make it work when they're low on the Colossus count. They're not able to get to where they need to be at the right point in time. Definitely, let's say he drops the main down here first, and then right as the army's relocating, then tries to drop the third. That's something that could pay off.
Bunny splitting up his units, trying to use the kind of, once again, triangular shape that the bases are spread out in. Catch any units coming out from SOS.
And in fact, I think Bunny is playing, I think to his credit, very conservatively. He has setups to try to come in here and do this, but he's not going to overextend. Now, SOS, being the really great player that he is, comes out the moment he sees any weakness, comes out and eliminates those few groups that are set up there to poke. That's actually pretty dangerous sometimes to do as SOS, by the way. You know, Terran's hoping that your army's going to be split up, but
Definitely.
I think SOS's instinct is so strong in this game, he comes in here, wipes that out. His bases aren't even really taking any damage. In fact, the 4th already being acquired.
I think you kind of have to ask yourself in a game at this point, is either player going to look for a way to kill their opponent? So right now, how does SOS kill Bunny? Well, his army's kind of slow. He's kept it back at home. He's getting a 4th base up, so probably not really looking for that option. And on Bunny's part, he is being very active, trying to get out on the map and see what's out there, but even he doesn't have even maybe the production to get that really big Protoss Death Ball elimination kind of army together. He's building a lot of Liberators, so maybe that means he's playing defensive, but this game looks like it is going to be maybe a repeat of Game 1.
Well, I mean, we don't know if it's going to have the carriers yet. That much we're definitely not sure, because we never saw the Phoenix opening.
There are some steps.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to go before we get to that point in time. But, what you can do sometimes against mass Colossus is, and we're seeing Bunny do this now, is to double down on Liberators.
Okay.
And sometimes you can just spam out enough Liberation zones that even if some of them go down, everything dies. But this positioning here, some of those Liberators are being picked off actually before they're able to really shoot down. You know, this is a great position here for Protoss. Look at this. This is perfect.
Liberator getting taken out.
Yeah.
Bar 1 there, trying to commit to that one.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do.
Absolutely amazing. The big difference between Game 1 and this one, by the way, no Phoenixes at all from SOS. So maybe that means higher Viking numbers. You can see them being produced 3 at a time right now. That could be the thing that Bunny needs,
Well,
but now his Liberator count's really low.
I almost feel like he's knocked himself back. He's been punted a lot further back, even though he's got good supply. The Liberator count was reduced pretty heavily. Now, what you want to do is you want to spam down so many Liberation zones before the Stalkers can get set up. He's starting to do that now. However, SOS has enough ground before this fight starts that when he backs up, the Terran's not in range of the Nexus. So this is being handled very well by SOS, despite Bunny continuing to bounce up ahead in supply. It's the engages that are going towards SOS. And also, he's not losing Colossi here.
That's very true. Those do take robo time, lots of time to build. And keep in mind, behind this, SOS does have that extra base up, so he's just economically ahead. He's doubling down, getting a 5th as well. So, I mean, Bunny's kind of on an economic timer, and I think you saw that be more and more important at the end of our previous game as well.
SOS is crazy. It's like G5 is warped into his body right now from the StarCraft Remastered launch tournament. I'm like, can you really expand that fast? I guess you can. But, you know, it's working. It's a very alternative style we're seeing here from SOS. And he's showing us why it is a completely viable approach here.
Yeah.
Now, can he attack in? Last game, we saw SOS rely on carriers. This is a little bit different. This is him kind of moving out with a pretty powerful army. But it's hard to engage into mass Liberators.
Yeah, also with Bunny floating out his main base here, that's not going to be a planetary. It probably is easy to harass with like these long-range Liberator or Colossi. SOS.
Okay, here we go. He's not got the Liberation Zone set up. In fact, I think this is a miscalculation here.
Oh, no. Tasteless. Yeah. Every Liberator going down. So many Vikings, though, persisting.
I don't think it matters. I think the Colossi are doing the damage they need to do. Even if you know all the Colossi are picked off, yeah, GG. What are you going to do?
Wow.
The Protoss has too big of a ground army. SOS once again on a completely different level, and that means we have SOS against Beyond coming up next.
Well, we got a chance to see how Beyond handled Hero, a very different style of Protoss, but now we get the crafty, literally trickster Protoss player SOS up against him. This is just setting up to be such a sick group.
You know, I gotta say, I feel for Bunny here, but this group is on another level compared to him. I think he played a really good standard meta, TVP, and everybody else is playing already ahead of the meta.
Very, very innovative. I think you can definitely say that about SOS. He not only knew how to play that matchup, but how to play the player. Consistently outmatching Bunny there in that series 2-0. SOS advances.
We're going to go to a short break. After that, we're going to find out who advances first in Group B to the round of 8. It'll be SOS versus Beyond. Don't go away.